Hello friend, welcome back to Tazori Home. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how to host effortlessly and the 5 common mistakes to avoid. This is coming from someone who is very experienced in the non-effortless hosting. Let's just say hosting a year or 2 years ago let's be honest, like a year ago, looked like me running around like a chicken with my head cut off 15 minutes before people arrive. Always down to the wire, always stressed. Ended up fun and beautiful and like a good time, but like nobody wants to be that stressed out when hosting. It makes you depleted and left without any energy. So if you can relate, if this sounds like you, stick around for this video because I think you're gonna find it very helpful. Also, I have created a free hosting guide that I put down in the description for you. So if you enjoyed today's video and you wanna go deeper, I put all my hosting hacks, tips, tricks in there, including my hosting essentials, conversation starters, all the things. So make sure to check that out in the link in the description. It's totally free and I think you'll find it really helpful. Without further ado, let's get into today's video and talk about these 5 common hosting mistakes and how to avoid them / overcome them. Hosting is about so much more than just creating a beautiful atmosphere and delicious food. Trust me, those 2 things are of utmost importance to me. I find them very, very important. And if you watch through some of the videos on our channel, you'll see that. But hosting is so much more than that. And if you only have that, then you're missing the heart of it, in my opinion. Truly, to me, the art of hosting is about hospitality, loving people, making them feel seen and heard. When I go to somebody's home and I feel taken care of, I feel seen, I feel heard, I feel like they are looking out for me and considering me, that's the home that I want to go back to. That's where I feel safe and comforted and wanted. And so I so want that for people who come into my home. And I think that's what a majority of you watching this probably want too. So the first mistake that I want to touch on is one that I am guilty of. Ding, 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 ding. What the heck was that? Moving on. And that is striving for perfection. Seeking to impress people instead of bless them. And that's just being totally honest. Like when I first got married, moved into my apartment, was inviting people over. Yes, of course, I wanted people to come. I always wanted people to come and feel, warm and welcomed. It wasn't solely to impress people. That wasn't the only reason. But I definitely wanted people to come into my home and feel impressed. But that is like such an ugly thing. It's real. We're human. We have these real things. Like we love when people admire us, right? If we're being honest, that's just a natural human thing. But I realized my heart behind doing certain things was motivated by this like desire to impress people. And that's not what I wanted. And I was really convicted over it. And I was like, this is an ugly part of my heart that I want that to change. And thank God that has changed. And I'm not going to say I'm totally perfect in this area because we all fall short, but I no longer strive for that perfection because first of all, if I go into somebody's home and I've been here and people are trying to impress me, I feel very uncomfortable. I'm like, what are you trying to do? Like stop trying to impress me. I've talked about this in another video before, but it's this idea about blessing people instead of impressing them. Like, what's the heart? Are you trying to bless people? Are you setting a beautiful table because you want them to know that you like prepared for them and you wanted to create this beautiful experience for them? Or are you setting that beautiful table because you want them to be impressed by all your pretty things? Like, there's a difference and you can sense the heart behind that. And now some people might misinterpret that and they might misinterpret me setting a beautiful table for them, but I'm the one who knows my heart behind it. And so you have to be really honest with yourself in that. And I do believe that your heart shines through and people will get a sense for what you're really about and that will put them at ease or not at ease. So if you have felt this way, I hope me sharing that, yes, I've been there too, kind of releases you. And it's like, okay, you're human. You're not like a horrible person for feeling this way, but like, let's change that. People won't always remember the perfectly set table you lay before them, but they will remember how they felt when they were in your home. And that is the key and what we should focus on when hosting. Mistake number 2 is thinking I had to do everything myself. I used to think I had to do it all, cook every dish, set the table perfectly, light every candle, like I had to do every bit of it because I was hosting and that was my job. But that's just like not the truth. There are times, you know, if you're having a couple of friends over for dinner and you're cooking for them, that's a different thing. But if you're hosting a dinner party for your girlfriends and your girlfriend asks like, what can I bring? Or can I bring this to help you out? Like, say yes. That's gonna take one other thing off your plate that is going to really lighten the load a lot more than you realize, and it's going to enable you to enjoy the evening a lot more. And also, people love to help. Like, people like to contribute. They like to be a part of what you're doing. If you're having a couple over for dinner and you want to really just like pour on them and bless them, and you know they're going through a tough time or whatever it might be, yes, do it all. But if you're having like 20 people over for a brunch, you don't have to cook everything. Because if you do that, then you end up having to pull your husband into your tornado and have him cook everything for you while you're setting the table outside 15 minutes before people come, and your sister-in-law, and you end up throwing things on people. I'm speaking from experience, clearly. But anyways, hosting is not about being a one-woman show. It is about creating a shared, memorable experience. The third mistake that I'm so guilty of, but have grown so much in this area over this past year, is not prepping everything in advance. Everything you possibly can in advance. I think back to past gatherings that I've hosted and how I just thought, if I get up early enough and like start cooking in the morning, like everything will get done in time, but not like timing it out, not planning it out, not prepping things the day before that I could. Gosh, it causes so much more stress that is unnecessary, totally unnecessary. So prep everything you possibly can in advance. You should not be deep cleaning the bathroom the day of an event. That is something you can do the day before, 2 days prior. So do it. You should not be mixing salad dressing the day of an event. You can make salad dressing in advance. You can cut and chop veggies in advance. You can marinate your steak and your meats the day before. Like, there's things that obviously are going to have to be done the day of, but let the day of be the most peaceful day of your prep. Like, the day before an event should be the most work, or the 2 days prior, like not the day of. I go into a lot more detail on this in the hosting guide that I have down in the link in the description that's totally free. So a lot more tips on how to prep before and what exactly to prep beforehand, because it's going to really help you. So make sure to check that out. But yeah, let's not save everything for the day of, because you will run around like a chicken with your head cut off, as I said at the beginning of this video. And speaking from experience and doing that many times, it's not fun. So don't do it. The fourth mistake I want to touch on is not creating a comfortable flow. Have you ever been to a gathering where maybe you weren't sure where you should sit, you didn't feel totally comfortable, you didn't know where to put your coat, or maybe where to grab a drink, and maybe you don't know the host super well, so you feel too afraid to ask? That is something I like to call like a hosting flow. And that's something that as a host, you can really help your guests with, is give them that ease and that comfort that helps the evening flow along. So as a host, you want to make sure to make your guests feel comfortable and at ease. And we can do that in a lot of ways. One is taking the coats from them as soon as they walk in the door, or having a coat rack that you let them know that they can hang their coat up there, pointing out the bathroom if they haven't been there before, so they know where they can use the bathroom, because they're probably gonna have to use the bathroom. Setting up a self-serve drink station. You know, I have a water filter that I have out, and I'll put glasses out there so that guests can just help themselves. That's something that's gonna free up your time in the evening to be able to do all the hosting things, and also is gonna make your guests feel comfortable because they don't have to ask, or some people are just afraid to ask because they don't want to bother you, or whatever it might be. That's going to really help with the flow and putting people at ease. And number 5 kind of goes off of number 4, and that's not thinking about conversation flow. There's that flow and that ease that comes with making guests feel comfortable, and then there's the other flow that's more kind of the structure of the evening or the day or the lunch, whatever it might be. Sometimes conversation lulls, and that's totally normal and totally okay. We don't have to be uncomfortable with silences, but there are things that help. And some people are really uncomfortable when things go silent and when conversation dies, and there are things to help with that. So one of those things is having a good playlist in the background. You know, if it's dead silent, you're gonna feel like pressure that you need to talk, and that kind of just like breaks it up, lets people feel okay with the silence. Also, just having conversations conversation starters in your back pocket, or like the table topics game I love to have out on my coffee table, that it has like conversation starters. So if there is a lull in the evening and you want to pull that out, it can spark really good conversations that lead into other conversations. So that's a good way to keep the conversation flowing throughout your gathering. Something else I love to do, especially if I'm having a larger group, is to have some sort of activity planned for those moments where maybe the conversation and the evening like stalls prematurely, because that just happens. You know, you eat dinner, you talk, you mingle a little bit, and then it just feels like it's dying down a little early before dessert. It's really nice to have some sort of activity. So whether that's board games, or for my girlfriends, when they come over, sometimes we have like candle painting, some sort of craft, depends who you're with. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant, but just to have something in your back pocket for those moments that will come up, because they just do come up. That's just going to be a good way to create a more natural flow to the evening and keep things moving at a really nice pace that makes people feel comfortable and really enjoy themselves. At the end of the day, hosting is not about crafting the perfect meal or the perfect tablescape. What hosting is about at the core is hospitality and loving people. At least that's what I believe. And I feel the best hostesses have that down and make people, just can bring people together. That love can manifest itself in you creating a beautiful table or you creating a beautiful meal. Different little touches throughout your home and throughout the evening that make people feel just totally at ease and seen and loved. They can manifest themselves in those ways, but like, what's the heart? You can do all the same things, but the motivation could be to impress people, or you could do all the same things and the motivation be to bless them and to love them. And so if that's your heart, if your heart is to love people and to bless them, then that's what's gonna make you the best, most comforting hostess. And then you're gonna think of all those wonderful little details that are gonna really set apart the evening. I just wanna encourage you that you do not have to have the perfect home or the best cooking skills to host people and to have a wonderful time, because again, people more often than not, of course, there are meals I remember and there are tablescapes I remember, but the main thing that I always remember is how I felt in somebody's home, how they made me feel. And so I just want to encourage you that if you feel like you lack in the other areas, don't let that hold you back from inviting people into your home, because hosting is about creating relationships and creating community, and you can do that without the most gorgeous Michelin star meal, you know? You can do that over mac and cheese. I feel like I'm constantly balancing throughout this video, because I'm like, yes, this is true, but I do think these things add so much to experiences. And if you want to improve your hosting skills and you want to create a home you love within your means and that you're excited to be able to invite people into, we dive into all of this inside of our membership community, the Tesori Home Membership, and all the information for that is at the link in the description below. We host monthly live calls with guest experts. We have design courses and resources for you on all things home, design, interiors, homemaking, hospitality, hosting, all the things to really help you to create a home and a life that you love on any budget. So if that sounds like something you're really wanting to do, then I make sure to check out the link in the description. And also don't forget to check out the free hosting guide I have down in the description below for you. I think you're really gonna find that useful. It goes into a lot more depth than what I was able to share in today's video, but thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video, and let me know in the comments. You know what I want to hear in the comments? I want to hear your biggest hosting flops. I want to hear your best advice when it comes to hosting. If you've been hosting for years and years, a hack that you found, a trick that you found, people love to read those in the comments. It's really helpful. And I want us to all learn and grow together. That's what we do inside of our community. It's all of us learning and growing from each other inside of our membership, and I want to be able to do that here too. So comment down below if you have any tips and tricks for us and experiences that you want to share or memories. I would love to read through them. But thank you again so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.